The thing in itself, which is here in this example, the car, is not one-dimensional. It suggests many kind of interpretations and reactions. And of course, this forms a kind of idea about the car. And this idea can be segmented, can be fragmented, and can be imagined also. So we don't speak about the reality itself. The truth itself is problematized. We are not speaking about a coherence idea of the reality or the truth. Let us have an example from Curses in the Land of the Headhunters, 1914. For example, this film is intended to describe the life of the Kwakwawak tribes in Colombia, but it ends up in different interpretations, because for some critics it's about the life and the culture of the tribe, whereas other critics consider it as a colonialist nostalgia to the British Columbia. So since we have these different interpretations vis-a-vis one work, it means that the work cannot be at all a kind of analogous to certain reality or truth. The problem of reality goes back to the ancient philosophies, but it becomes more accentuated with the European philosophies. Just for example, Nietzsche believes that there is no objectivity, but reality is nothing but a body of different interpretations. And of course, these contested perspectives that creates meaning concerning that thing in itself. And this, of course, has its roots in Pascal's insights, who suggests that there is no direct communication with this thing in itself, that there is a kind of indirect communication, because this thing in itself cannot have any kind of meaning unless our consciousness interferes to shape it and construct it and give it a kind of meaning. So another example that was tackled a lot yesterday, which is the example of the Kino Pravda, or the film truth, the Russian experience in cinema. You know, Vertov, Kuleshov, Eisenstein has created kind of films, and they declare, especially Vertov, that they are analogous to reality. They can, of course, copy reality as it is. This is why they opted for the what is called the typage. Typage is when it's a technique when the filmmaker do without professional actors and opts for real people from the real experience, just to give that sense of reality to the work. But for example, the man with the movie camera, there is editing and the kind of representation to a filmic time and not a real one. And also there is that problem of interpretations, because it is interpreted by some critics as a film that tackles the issue of machinery, whereas others, they think that it's about the Russian life, whereas some other people think that it's a kind of propagandized film. And Lenin himself, he was involved in this kind of interpretation, since he ordered the commissariats of education to take care of this kind of cinema and use it as a propaganda for the revolutionist ideas and notions. So neither documentary nor reportage deals with the objective and fixed reality, but rather with an interfered truth that is converted into subject reality. So I will just refer to something which is very important. When dealing with a documentary, of course, we escape the studium notion, the Barthes studium notion, and we try to get closer to Barthes' spectrum notion. What is sodium and plankton. For bad sodium is when the image or the photo suggests the general mode or the general context of the photo. But plankton, it accentuates, it's like punctuation, and it goes with the interpretation and definition to its upper levels. So here we find in other arts, like for example paintings, the close proximity to documentary rather than to reportage, for example. In Miss Lala by Degas, for example, the way this acrobat is suspended from her teeth suggests kind of voyeuristic mode, the angular and the framing mode to this, and even the kind of transcending the time between the era where he painted this painting and the viewer who are we now dealing directly with the photo. All these elements makes this photo operating within the spectrum idea and not the sodium. For example, this photo of a man who stretches his arm, whereas the rest of his body is outside the frame. So the fetishism behind this photo suggests this spectrum